Hello, this is MakerJ11 and today I'm going to show you how to make some green sand for casting. So this is made out of kitty litter and sand that you buy at the hardware store. Really cheap stuff. You can see it breaks pretty cleanly. It's fairly stiff. It works really good. So really easy to make and really cheap. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need is clay. Bentonite clay. It has to be bentonite clay. Or bentonite clay, however you say it. I'm using kitty litter. This is probably one of the more expensive kitty litters, but what you want to look for is scoopable kitty litter. Okay, that's the number one thing you want. And the number two thing is that you want it to be clay. This says natural clay. If it says natural clay, that doesn't always mean it's bentonite clay. Sometimes it'll have gravel in there and such. But you want it to be clay, preferably if it says bentonite clay. There are some brands that actually say bentonite clay right on them. And that's what you want. You want scoopable or clumping kitty litter because that's basically what you need. You need the clay that when it gets wet, it expands. So here's the kitty litter, and I'm going to show you a test to tell you whether it is definitely bentonite clay or not. Alright, so pour it into this test tube so you can see it. Now what we do, we add water, and we watch the reaction. Alright, so when you add the water, if what it does is makes a plug there, it soaks. Basically what happens is the bentonite clay expands like 10 times or something like that when it gets wet. So it absorbs the water here and kind of makes it basically a stopper and keeps the rest of this dry. Now if this was other kind of clay, a different kind of clay, or any other kind of kitty litter, or if it has gravel in it, a lot of gravel, it won't do that. The whole thing will just get wet. That means it's not bentonite clay or bentonite clay. This is bentonite clay because it's making that stopper there. So pretty cool stuff. It's awesome. And then it's really hard to clean it out of the test tube too. But yeah, that's what you want to look for is clay kitty litter that will do that. So the first thing you need to do is find something to grind it up. I've used a ball mill before. It's really slow, but it does work. This is way faster. This is a really cheap. I bought this at Goodwill for $5. It's like a grinder thing. It was actually new in the package. Well, not new, but I think it was used. The problem with this is that the motor is really cheaply built and it overheats and blows the thermal fuse after about 15 minutes when you first use it. So I replaced the non-resettable thermal fuse with one that automatically resets when it gets too hot. So the problem is after about 15 minutes it turns off and then you have to start over. You have to let it cool down before you can use it again. So that's the one thing with these is I wouldn't recommend this particular model, but it's like a coffee grinder. So what you need to do is just put some of this in here. Now if you load this up too much, it won't work. It takes way too long to grind, and it overheats the motor even faster. So just a little bit in there, and then you just grind it. So after I think it's all ground, because the sound kind of changes as it's grinding. So now you can see it's a nice powder. So then I've got this sieve that I've made, which is basically a can with the bottom cut out with some screen mesh on the bottom, really fine mesh. And so we'll basically dump that in here, and then just go like this, get it all sorted, get all the fine stuff out. Makes a lot of dust, don't breathe the dust, although it's just clay, it probably won't kill you. And then if you sift it a little bit, you're going to be left with some larger granules in there that that I just dump in here and run through the grinder again. So now I put another batch in the grinder. Alright. What I actually like to do is have two batches going at the same time, so I'm multitasking, so dump that one in there, and then I'll start another one grinding while I sift this one. But you can go through it pretty quick. But again, the motor overheats after about 10. Oh, and the grinder's dead. Now we have to wait for the grinder to cool down before we can use it again. And there's our clay. Now let's add it to the sand. Alright, so this is the sand I'm using. This is Quickcrete. I just bought it. It was like $4 or something at the at Home Depot. 50-pound bag. Fine sand. It doesn't have the mesh on here, I don't think. You can see it's pretty darn fine. Not extremely fine, but it works. It's been working pretty good, so yep. Alright, so what I'm doing is about 10% by weight. I already tried volume and that weight didn't work at all. It didn't have enough clay. So I'm doing it by weight. So what I'm doing is 9 pounds of sand and 1 pound of clay. So this is about 1 pound of clay right here. This is about 19 pounds of sand. I already added 1 pound of clay already to this, so I need to add 1 more pound to get about 10%. So there's only about 5% clay in here right now, and it's not sticky. I mean, it's okay. It's kind of fragile though. So I'm gonna add some more clay to it. So we'll add that in there. And this is my stirrer that I made. I just welded this up and just added some scrap metal. And it's powered by a drill. Looks like concrete. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Cool. Right amount of water and everything. So what I like to do is actually mix the sand and the clay together dry and then add the water slowly while I'm mixing it. It seems to work really good. That time I didn't have enough clay. I was just experimenting, and so yeah, 2 pounds of clay for 18 pounds of sand, or 10%. So yep, that's green sand for you. Homemade green sand out of kitty litter. Don't use used kitty litter either, that's gross. Thanks for watching, and keep experimenting. By the way, don't forget to follow my Instagram page for updates like motherboards, different casting projects, and just a mixture of whatever I'm up to. So you can see I've got quite a few different pictures here, so check out my Instagram, it's MakerJ101. I also have a Facebook page, which I post nearly the same thing on, and I've been trying to post every day, every other day, something like that, several posts a week, so check that out. It's also a good way to contact me, because sometimes I can't reply to all the YouTube comments, so check that out, and that's about it. Thanks for watching, and keep experimenting.